Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Gourmet Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into the PTA pregame show. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Jacob in Wisconsin, here to take you down to kickoff, ready for the Packers Colts to get things going here on this glorious August the 16th and to get some more questions answered today. Maybe not as many questions answered as we got in the joint practice. I think it was just, 2 days ago. Obviously, a lot of good information coming out of there. We'll kind of recap that a little bit. Like I said, take you all the way up to kickoff. And I'm just here for Jacob's signature. I'm getting a little nervous before every game. Jacob, how you doing, man?
I honestly feel pretty good today. I was supposed to go watch my cousins and my grandfather jump out of an airplane, but it rained so much over the last 24 hours that it wasn't happening. It got pushed to 5 o'clock tonight. So prayers to the grandpa. But man, it hasn't started yet, Clayton, but I'm guessing about 15, 20 minutes, I'm going to start getting the old butterflies in the tummy.
Absolutely, man. Hey, it's football season. You know, that's butterflies that we'll welcome. And I know everybody in the chat already filing in. Listen, if you guys would do that YouTube stuff for me really, really quick, hit like, hit subscribe. If you're new here, welcome into PTA. We're not experts. We're not insiders. What we are fans just like you, breaking down the Packers on a daily basis, pregame shows, postgame shows, in-depth analysis. We'll do film breakdown, the whole 9 yards. So if that's the type of content you're looking for, you landed in the right place. Just make sure you hit subscribe, click that bell icon so you're notified every time we do go live. And Jacob, we got boots on the ground here in Indianapolis. You can see the Packers have been posting videos. Tucker Kraft getting into the facility here, boots on the ground, as they said. And then obviously we got another guy here, I think it was Josh Jacobs, walking in the building. Listen, I hope we don't see either of those two guys today. I don't know how you feel about it, Jacob, but hopefully we sit all the starters, let the 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s go at it, see if we can get the bottom of this roster shaped up.
Yeah, I agree. We're too banged up in that offense. I'd like maybe see a couple defensive starters, just maybe in the first series, and just maybe kind of knock some rust off, kind of thing. But yeah, for the most part, I agree with you. Let's see the 2s, 3s, and the 4s going at it.
Since you brought that up, let me ask you a question. What do you think about LVN? Would you start LVN today, or would you just say, hey, look, he's a starter, let's set him down too? How do you feel about that, man? Kind of a tough scenario, you know what I mean? Because it's a guy that I want to say you want to get him more work, right? As he's having one heck of a camp so far, but at the same time, he's the starter. How much work can you possibly get in a preseason game, especially when let me say this. I know it's a long-winded way of asking you this question. The reason I asked you this, let me do it this way, is when teams don't start their starters, what you got, guys, is second and third stringers that are tryhards, right? And they're going to do everything they can to get on the tape. They're going to do everything they can. So you may be going 3/4, maybe 80%, something like that, and you got a guy that all of a sudden decides he's going to be a hero on national television trying to make a 53-man roster, and he does an illegal chop block or something. Next thing you know, you're missing a starting defensive end with a blown-out knee. You know what I mean?
Yeah. LVN, that'd be one that I'd want to see maybe in the first series, and I'm talking like the first 3 or 4 plays and then get him out. Just maybe give him a little taste. I mean, heck, I'd go so far as to say that I don't want Brenton Cox Jr. out there for more than 1 or 2 drives at the most. I think we got plenty of guys in that rotation. I want to see Barron Sorrell. I want to see Barron Sorrell play like 2 quarters. If that, he's a rookie, low in the rotation at this point, but let's see what the kid's got. I wish we could see Colin Oliver. This would be a perfect kind of day for him to really showcase what he does, but obviously I don't think that's going to be a reality. Man, I also want to see maybe some Mosby, really see if there's anybody that's going to make a push for that 5th or 6th spot. But yeah, LVN, I maybe a few plays. That's it.
Yeah. And again, what you're saying is let's get our tryhards out there against their tryhards, right?
Yep, exactly.
So that makes a lot of sense for sure. Let's do this. Let's go to the Patreon group. This wasn't in the questions tab, but we had a good conversation in there this morning. Chris N says, I don't see how anyone can compare 37 starts or whatever with Sheeto against 1 or 2 preseason games in Jam. I think he's meaning Jordan Morgan. doesn't make any sense. So let's talk about this a little bit, because this is how I responded to Chris, and I want to get your take, Jake, and have a little conversation, because another guy I want to watch today, I want to see Jordan Morgan at left tackle. I want to see that again. I want to see him solidify what he did last week, if that makes sense. But I just said, you make a great point, Chris. However, the coaches have seen these guys work through OTAs and training camp, being tested in every specific drill / situation. They're intrigued with Morgan. Their intrigue with Morgan at left tackle lowered that skepticism for me, along with Rashid being a mediocre run blocker, as we have shifted to a run-heavy duo attack. I said, you throw in the contract comparison for next year, and it makes way more sense to me that Morgan should be given every opportunity to take the job. With that being said, if he doesn't take the job, then Rashid should be the starter. Obviously, my autocorrect, boy, throwing that Y in there, that looked like a different language. And that was early this morning, 4 hours ago. Not too early, I guess. But anyway, what's your take on that, man? Because I think Chris made some great points. And I'm trying to think here. Ron Sample commented too. He says, I just watched the Football Scout pod on Morgan and Belton. Pretty good analysis, and makes me really excited about both players. They both have a good chance to be elite linemen. It's looking like Goop might know what he's doing, especially when it comes to offensive line, obviously. So what's your take on that, Jacob? Because Chris makes a great point, right, about the comparison of Rashid, because Rashid's been a great pass blocker. But I think what they're looking for is, one, the tackle of the future, and two, maybe someone to help improve the run blocking aspect of the offensive line as well.
Yeah. If you guys remember, it was a head scratcher to me that they were looking to replace a guy like Rashid. And if I still at this moment could be the GM and say we're not going to do that, I probably would. But the fact of the matter is we spent very high draft capital on both Morgan and obviously Belton. And I think you're right, Clayton. It seems like they want to move into being a more rounded team that could be more run dominant. And you just have to admit that Rashid, while being a very, very good pass blocker, is just I wouldn't say a liability necessarily in the run game, but it's definitely not a strength. That's one thing that he could definitely improve on. And now that Morgan and Belton are in the building, we got to just play the best five. I've said that constantly, and set the egos, set the contracts, all that aside. I want the best starting five, and whoever's going to prove that, I deserve to be on the field. And like you said, this is a great time. What better time to have Morgan out there with a ton of snaps to really see if we have that battle and if it's worth it. And coach is talking about how he saw Walker pancaking several dudes last year. Yeah, I saw Morgan almost pancaking a few guys last week too. He was looking pretty good. A little more dominant than I expected. Same with Belton, that road grader type mentality. So, it's a tough thing, and I always want to stay loyal to guys like Rashid, especially, you guys know I'm a fan of those late round draft picks. But it's time to probably just let this fight happen and see who the winner is.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. Let's go to the PFF grades here real quick and just take a quick gander. Because like Coach Lynn just said, and I think he makes a great point there as well. I mean, it wasn't like Rashid was absolutely horrible in run blocking. It's just that's the weak spot of his game. And again, Chris, thank you for kind of getting that conversation going this morning, man. That was good stuff to wake up to there for sure. If we pull up the PFF grades from last year, and let's just kind of look real quick. And again, Jordan Morgan had minimal snaps. And I think many people see that, Jacob. They see the 59.2 and they go, oh boy, that's bad. Right? He played 186 snaps, and it was at guard. He played left tackle his entire college and high school career. So they asked him to do something he had never done before. And I think that they looked at Rashid as so valuable last year. Let's leave him at left tackle. Let's cross-train Jordan Morgan at right guard, see if he can take it from Sean Ryan. And the long-term goal is to play Jordan Morgan at left tackle if he doesn't grab a hold of right guard and just run away with it. But when you look at Rashid Walker's PFF grade, let's just see if we can pull the card up here. So this is what we're talking about. And again, PFF isn't everything. I got you. His overall offensive grade is a 68.7 last year. Some people make it sound like Rashid is like worthy of top tackle money. And he's just not, to me, he's not in that range quite yet. I think he is a top 10, probably top 15 left tackle in the game. When you're talking about pass blocking, hands down he is. But when you mix in the run blocking grade was a 53.6. And again, this isn't just looking at Rashid Walker and going, okay, his PFF grade says he's bad at this. When I watched the tape last year and we would run duo and things like that, if he was asked to get to the second level, to me, he looked a little out of place. Not quite as out of place as Josh Myers did, but you could just tell that's not his strength. His strength is pass sets. So when you look at Jordan Morgan, that's why I want to get a really, really good saturation of what he can do in the preseason to see, okay, is he significantly better than Rasheed Walker at run blocking, albeit it is just preseason snaps as well. So,
yeah, I agree with that. That actually kind of surprises me. I for some reason thought his overall ratings or PFF grades were a little bit better than that. But like you said, I definitely think he's a top 10 pass blocker in this league as far as left tackles go. But yeah, I mean, we look back, it's funny you brought up Josh Myers because there was a clip, that clip I always see of him hitting the second level, completely whiffing, turning around, looking at the play and just being just lost. I don't want to see any of that this year. And I really do have a really good feeling that center position, getting that short up. And if the left tackle, if it ends up being a battle, the best guy is obviously going to win. I just think the offensive line as a whole is going to take a really big step this year.
Yeah, Coach Lynn says, may the best man win. Let's see what else everybody is saying in here. There was somebody else here. What Coach Lynn said, yeah. Packers are in a really good spot with their offensive line. Coach Lynn, there's a bunch of tackle-needy teams. Very true. And I know some people say, well, if Rasheed's not your left tackle, the future, trade him. I disagree with that because injuries are going to happen. And if you keep Rasheed Walker and Anthony Belton takes that next step, which someone had mentioned Belton up here earlier. Ed Madden said Belton is a mauler.
Yep.
If you keep both those guys on the roster and Anthony Belton solidifies what he did last week and kind of looked pretty decent at right tackle, like he might be able to pick that up, you might have the best backup tackle situation in all of football. And again, why did we lose to the Eagles? In my opinion, it doesn't mean I'm right, but when I watched the tape, I looked back and said, boy, our offensive line really, really let us down in that game. All it took was one Elton Jenkins injury and we were screwed, right? So now you've solidified that offensive line and you've got depth at different spots. If Rasheed Walker does take left tackle and Jordan Morgan plays right guard, well, guess what? You've got Sean Ryan, who was your starter at right guard last year, is now all of a sudden your backup. It's I don't know. I'm excited about the offensive line and what they could potentially do this year. And again, it's all about changing identity. You bring in Aaron Banks, Mahler, 6'5", 330, whatever he is, right? You draft Anthony Belton, significantly larger human being than what they're used to drafting at offensive line. You still got a smaller stature guy in Zach Thomas, 6'4", 300 pounds, which isn't small, obviously. Right. But you could tell they really wanted to press into, hey, let's get some big body guys in here. And I think that goes hand in hand with what they wanted to do with duo. But I'm also thinking, Jacob, boy, it'd be nice to mix in some outside zone stretch runs with Marshawn Lloyd if it makes sense. Then you go back to his college tape, USC, his final year in college. They ran a lot of power. Duo is somewhat similar to power. Duo is vertical power. Obviously you're not skipping a gap. But if you can run out of a power set and be patient with a pulling guard, a pulling tackle, a pulling center, whatever, you can definitely be patient enough to allow that double-double to get to the next level and set up that block that might spring you for an explosive. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Do we know, is Marshawn Lloyd planning on playing today?
It sounds like he is. I was just combing through Twitter and someone had said, I want to give credit where credit's due here. Zach Cruz on Twitter says, welcome to Marshawn Lloyd Day. Pray to your preferred deity that he gets through today unscathed. So it sounds like Marshawn Lloyd's going to be on the field. So that's a player. It's similar to like LVN though, right? Where we've seen Marshawn Lloyd in camp and you go, I don't think a preseason game is going to help him improve his game, but you're taking a risk of getting him hurt. At the same time, we got to take the bubble wrap off this guy sooner or later, right?
Yeah. Donovan Schilling, just as you said that, please bubble wrap him for the show.
I didn't even look at the chat either. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that might be one of them. I really love the Patreon article of the top 11 people you want to watch, and I believe Marshawn Lloyd was on that list. And that to me is going to be probably one of the most interesting things I'm going to watch for is Marshawn Lloyd and how that offensive line, like you said, opens those lanes up for him. Because man, he is a shifty dude. I would more agree with you. I think it's time to unwrap the bubble wrap per se. Like obviously we want him to be healthy going into week 1, but if he is quote unquote injury prone, if you want to throw that label on him, it's going to happen. So let's just get him a little more toughened up. I think that Yeah, like Ed saying, let Lloyd play. I want to see him play. I definitely want to see him play. And I think he needs to because Emmanuel and Chris Brooks. I'm also excited to see Abikonda because is there a world where you can see him being the fourth or possibly a third over these guys? I don't know if that's realistic, but I like the way he ran. And man, Omar Johnson, that cutback of his, that was pretty special too. So again, these position groups, I think I saw somebody in the chat earlier say that I think ESPN ranked the Packers positional groups as like 11th. I don't know about that. You look at the offensive line depth, even the depth at quarterback, if you want to be honest, the depth at running back, the tight end depth. I mean, the whole offense is deep. I mean, it really, really is. And I don't remember another year where we could comfortably say that. I mean, how crazy to think that just if we look at the wide receiver group with Dobbs, Wicks, I mean, 2 other starters, Christian Watson, obviously, and more. If going into the season, if we didn't have all those guys, I still kind of feel confident that we could get a W out, at least a few wins, just because these guys are so well versed. And I really want to see Isaiah Nair today. But I mean, it is crazy to look at the depth at all these positional groups specifically, and you just can't help but be excited about it.
Yeah, it looks like the chat agrees with you. Ed Madden says, let Lloyd play. I want to see him play, right? Nick McSwain said, dude needs any live game reps he can at this point. And I believe, the more I think about it, you got to start taking hits, right? That's the only thing that's going to get you kind of ready for the regular season. If it is, if your limitations have been, hey, I haven't been able to stay on the field because of injury. Again, sooner or later, you got to go out there. All right, let's take 15 licks in this game. I
like what Fishy Thing says. He says if Marshawn can't survive a couple preseason games, then why even have him on the 53? I mean, it's blunt, but it's the truth, man. It really is. All Good says the same thing. Let him play. Ed Man, you got to let him play. See what happens. Coach Len's talking about Amar Johnson. I am excited for that as well. That's going to be fun to watch. And we got Larry Kano's in the house. What's up, Larry?
Everybody sit up straight. Act normal. Okay, act normal. Even if you're not. Stop being yourself and act normal for a second. I think those are all great points, man. And here's the thing that you don't want to see happen. I'm going to paint you a bad picture here, okay? Imagine the Packers break camp with 3, and they go Josh Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson, Marshawn Lloyd, right? And then you haven't played Marshawn Lloyd at all in the preseason. You just decide, hey, let's just save him for the regular season. And you try to squeeze Chris Brooks and Abanikanda on to the practice squad. And if you do that, and let's say they both get poached, and then in week 1, Marshawn Lloyd goes down with an injury. Now you've lost 3 players as opposed, you know what I'm saying? So maybe it is best. Let's get him out there in preseason, see how comfortable you feel. Because if you get him into preseason, he gets a little more banged up, and we truly can't depend on him, at least at this point in his career. We're going to keep him on the 53, but he could go down any minute. If that's the case, then maybe that makes it worth carrying 4 coming out of camp, if that makes sense. So the way I would do it right now, though, is I would probably break camp with 3, Josh Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson, and Marshawn Lloyd, try to get Chris Brooks and Izzy onto the practice squad. But if I had to choose a 4th, I'm probably going Chris Brooks and praying to sweet baby Jesus that Izzy makes it to the practice squad. Because Chris Brooks is valuable. He is extreme. And he looked good.
Where does that leave Amar Johnson?
I'm sorry, Amar Johnson, not Izzy.
Is that what you meant? I was thinking that's what you meant.
Yeah, no, Amar Johnson's my guy. I apologize, guys. Yeah. Amar Johnson is the one that I see as the 4th best running back. Thank you for correcting me there, Jay. I know you knew what I meant, but they definitely did.
You know what's kind of interesting? Just to Prize Picks today, they've got Abikonda, have him at a slate of 22.5 yards plus or minus. And to me, I think I'd take the over on that. But it was interesting. They have no other Packers running backs listed for whatever reason. They highlighted Abikonda, but it's interesting.
Think about this. You seen Amar Johnson last week, and he looked great. Right? I think we would all agree he looked the part, and we've seen it at college. But just like we ran Tucker Kraft through the filter and Christian Watson through the filter of small school, does it count or not? Right. So Amar Johnson looks the part. What I would do, minimal snaps the rest of the preseason. Don't put any more tape out there. That's probably how you protect him getting to the practice squad. So maybe that's what they're seeing, Jacob. And listen, those gambling minds, they know what the heck they're doing with those lines. So
you know what else is really funny? They got field goals and PATs. They have almost every kicker listed that's going to play today. They don't have Mr. McManus. I think it's automatic. He's money. Like it's just dude doesn't miss.
Either that or they're going to let the Irish kicker go out there, right?
That could
happen as well, right? Because he, that's an interesting player to me. It's obvious that they like utilizing that international player program to keep an extra kicker around, because this is the second kicker they've done like that, right? Wasn't Alex Hale the same way? He was an international guy too, I believe.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they're thinking, Jacob, is McManus probably won't play, and you just let the young guy get some more kicks in.
Does that seem odd though, that you wouldn't let your kicker get all the experience? You know what I mean? Because that's non-contact usually, right? I mean,
if McManus hadn't had the training camp he's had, I would agree with you. That dude, man, holy cow!
What is he, like 53 of 55 or something insane like that? I mean,
I don't know the exact number, but yeah, it's just absolute insanity, dude. So glad that the Packers have got him on their roster now. I'm gonna just refresh Twitter real quick. If you want to hit something in the chat, see if we can find anything.
I'd like to pose a question to the chat, because I was really surprised. I listened to Ryan's podcast yesterday. I'm not sure if you got around to it, Clayton, but he brought up the idea of Isaiah Bond now being cleared of all charges, much like Quinshon Judkins was, and posed the idea that, hey, we've got a bunch of our star wide receivers that seemingly are a little banged up right now. Do you take a chance like Green Bay does at maybe, rehabbing or rehabilitating kind of the reputation of some of these players? Brenton Cox was one. McManus was one. There's a few other guys that maybe we don't remember, but Isaiah Bond, if you guys remember, he's faster than Matthew Golden. And Ryan made the argument, if you had Matthew Golden on one side and let's say Jaden Reed in the slot and a guy that's a 4.2, I mean like a legit 4.2 on the other side, stretching that field, it's an interesting prospect. What are your thoughts on that real quick?
So you said
he said J. Cole says he just signed with the Browns.
Oh, did he really? So you got me all excited for no reason. I was going to say there's precedent there, Jacob, because like you said, the Packers, all the way back to Ted Thompson, they have a reputation of giving people a second chance. I remember Ted Thompson signed someone. I can't remember. It might have been Corin Robinson, I believe. I don't know why that name just popped up, but I think it was a wide receiver, Corin Robinson, who got in trouble, had an alcohol problem. And when they brung him in, I want to say Ted made a comment or something like, it was almost like scripture based, like, hey, I believe people deserve second chances. We're going to be a place where we give people second chances. And so there's precedent there. Like you said, Brenton Cox Jr. got thrown off of 2 college football teams. They gave him another chance. So it's even gone on past Ted Thompson's days. And what's miraculous is they'll bring in some of those guys that's got a little, as Jerry Jones says, a little hair on it, right? He says a lot more country than me. But they'll bring those guys in and give them a second chance. And it seems like they don't get in trouble when they do that. But if Isaiah Bond was still available, absolutely I'd be on board. And the reason being, we had him as the roughly 13th best wide receiver in the entire draft. Guess who was right above him at 91.1 on our PFF big board? Savion Williams. And then the very next receiver was Isaiah Bond with a 93.8. And again, low number wins. What that says to me, guys, when you see that number on the right on our PTA board, and I know y'all that's in the Patreon group, y'all have access to the draft board and everything. What we're saying is you can make a case that he's worthy of that pick at that spot. So right around a 90th best pick. So a top 100 prospect before he ran in, had that run in with the troubles. So
yeah, I got to correct myself too. Professor Cakes did acknowledge that Golden had a better 40 than Bond, but I think there was something like Bond was clocked faster, or like an actual game time speed or something like that.
Isaiah Bond going into the combine called his shot and said he was going to set a new record.
Right.
And he didn't even come close to it. Yeah. I want to say he said he was going to set the record, and he ended up running a 4.4, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Now maybe he improved on that after the first run, but then it was his teammate Golden who ended up being the fastest. Wasn't Golden the fastest wide receiver?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Professor Cake's 4.40, yeah, and his teammate. And again, I don't know how Isaiah Bond feels about Matthew Golden, but there's got to be a little bit of that. Listen, they bring in Isaiah Bond, I think from Bama, if I remember correctly, to be their number one receiver. They bring in Matthew Golden from, where was it? Was it Houston, am I thinking right?
I believe so.
And Matthew Golden just took it and ran with it. He ended up being wide receiver 1 throughout the playoffs. So, it's and again, Isaiah Bond's a talented guy, don't get me wrong, but that sucks that the Browns picked him up.
Because wasn't that Golden's kind of biggest knock is that all his production came like in the last 8 games of his career kind of thing, because they realized what they had, and all of a sudden they just started going to him. But yeah.
And he had his best game on the largest stage too there in the SEC championship, if I remember correctly. So, and again, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for players who are ascending coming into the league. According to Greg Cosell. There you go. Chris Casuan. Yeah. Alabama and Houston. Yeah. So there you go. So Lambeau Phil tweeted this out, missing you, right? With the shot of Lambeau, which is a beautiful shot there of Lambeau. And then, of course, we've got Wayne Larrivee, obligatory Matt LePay, false hustle pregame shot ahead of the Packers Colts preseason tilt on the Packers radio network. So Wayne Larrivee obviously on the call. We got Jaden Reed out here with no walking boot. Taking time to visit the Packer fans in Indy. That's a great sign right there, Jacob. Is that got a little weird, man, that Wildy was talking about it on Wildy and Tausch, that the way he answered his question when he asked him specifically about the injury, and Jaden was like, I don't want to be the one to misspeak, essentially is what he said. And it was like, whoa, what was that about? But I think some of these guys are very, very, it's the right word, not skeptical. They're a little guarded against the media. You can tell that the Packers PR department do a good job of make sure people don't step in their own crap, which is hilarious because when Aaron was here, Aaron would say what he wanted to say. And I loved hearing Aaron give the backstory of, so-and-so, whoever the PR director was like, Aaron, please don't go scorched start today. Don't go scorched start today. He didn't care.
Yeah.
So.
I like what Nathan Arthur says. He says, thank you, Quinn Ewers' duck arm that made Golden fall to us. That's probably true.
A little bit there as well. That's the thing about Matthew Golden. You never got to see the top end speed because Quinn kept underthrowing him. But again, if he had stretched the defenses that took the top off and all that, I would have been excited, but I got more excited when I seen the body control, the route running, the situational awareness, the sideline awareness, the strong hands. And you guys know, some people hear that and go, what's strong hands? You hear soft hands, you hear strong hands. Soft hands, in my opinion, is they catch the ball kind of gracefully. You could tell that they know how to, trying to think how to absorb the football. Matthew Golden plucks that damn thing out of the air. The way he catches a football, and this is not going to be a good comp body-wise whatsoever, but the way he catches the football out of the air reminds me of Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens he'd take that thing like it was a Skittle on the counter and just give me that, And that's what Golden looks like. It really is, man. And some of those guys, they make it look way more difficult than it is. It's one of those situations they're trying to catch a football, and it's like, you went all the way around your ass to touch your elbow type thing. You know what I mean? It's like, just catch the ball. Why are you trying to make it so hard?
Yeah, I keep using it looks effortless with him. Everything looks so effortless and smooth. I was actually going to send you a clip that I believe it was the Instagram Lambeau Leapers, I want to say. They had a caption that said, bring these drills back. And it was a throwback to the Jordy days with Cobb, with young Devontae. And they would do that drill where they literally would stand about 2 inches from the jugs machine and just take chances both sides, and then they'd do the up top, and then they'd have the drill where it'd probably be about 10 yards out, and you'd have 6 receivers on both ends, all of them waving their arms up and down. And to me, it's like, bring that back, man. That to me is very impressive. And you saw it was Jordy was like 100%, Cobb 100%, Tay Adams 100%, and whoever the poor guy was at the time wearing number 16 had like 3 drops in a row, so you could tell it wasn't just like those guys honed their craft.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. Wes Hodkiewicz had a shot here on the stadium earlier. I'm going to try to refresh his page real quick. I love Hod, man.
Coach says he does that drill with his wide receivers every week. That's cool.
Yeah. So, again, Jaden Reed, excited to see him, get him out there week 1, man. I mean, people, they forget that he has been our leading receiver the last 2 years. The thought of him working the slot, working out of the 2 and cheating to the 1 and doing that stack. Imagine this. Jaden Reed in the slot, and we've shown you on tape and we've shown you in college that he can be an outside receiver. He's built like a slot receiver, but he can be an outside receiver. Imagine you get defenses really focusing on Jaden Reed being in the 2 in the slot, and all of a sudden you cheating him out to a stack look with Matthew Golden. How do you cover those 2 guys? And again, Jaden Reed, over 800 yards receiving last year. He's led the Packers in receiving, I think, in both receptions and yards the last 2 years as well. Now you get a little bit of Matthew Golden on the outside stretch in the defense. And, oh, by the way, come week 5, week 6, whenever we come out of the bye, boy, oh boy, is Christian Watson going to be chomping at the bit. Goody already said, I have a feeling we're going to be forced to try to hold him back, because the second he comes off pup or is available to come off pup, he's going to want to get on the field. But imagine getting him out there with these young guys as well, dude. But Jaden Reed's going to be vital for the success of the Packers, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it seems so. It seems like just yesterday when I thought we were going to have Christian gone for possibly the whole season, if not, maybe the 3/4 of it. And the way that he's recovered, it does excite you. The fact, I mean, man, yeah, we have the week 5 bye, right? Is that what it is?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I think it's week 5. Yeah.
Yeah. If we could get him back after that, that would be unbelievable. And you talk about another field stretcher to have him and Golden on the outside. Oh my gosh, that is just that is impressive to think about.
Definitely. Wes Hockwitz putting this out, NFL Stadium number 41. So I don't know if I guess that's his 41st stadium he's been to, but that's a pretty cool stadium too. I love it when they open the roof up.
That's cool.
Yeah. And they get all that light that comes in and everything. It makes it feel okay. We're actually playing on outside, even though they got a roof over it. But it is cool how it almost looks like a big barn, like a big stable. Pretty neat stadium for sure. I need to go up there. I started to go to this game, but we decided to just hang out here. We chose a redneck brawl over season game. So there you go.
Is that today? Are you guys doing that today?
Yes, tonight. So here's what my day consists of: pre-game show, watch the game, post-game show, an hour tops. End it. Emilio will be sliding sideways into the driveway. They're going to hop in the convoy, and then we're heading down, going straight into Redneck Brawl. We're going to run by Freddy's real quick and get some ice cream and some burgers and stuff, and then head in for the Redneck Brawl. So, yeah, that's
awesome.
Anything else you want to hit on here that we haven't hit on so far before we can kind of comb back through some other stuff that we covered yesterday for sure as well. So.
I just wanted to maybe share some other really interesting over-unders. Is that all right? Just real quick. From Prize Picks.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
So they got Malik Willis at 88.5 passing yards. I think I'd probably take the under on that. They have him, though, at 14.5 rush yards. I'd slam the over on that. I think he's going to tuck the ball and run quite a bit. If you guys remember a gentleman named A.J. Dillon, he is playing for the Eagles. They have him slotted at 19.5 yards. And then, like I mentioned earlier, Abaconda's at 22.5. The former Packer that were playing for the Colts, Tyler Goodson, they have him at 17.5. They got Mecole Hardman at 17.5 receiving yards. And then the Malik Willis touchdowns, 0.5. So I think he's going to get a tud today, but I think he might be under that 88.5. And I don't know. I think the other one like I said, the Abiconda, I think they're going to leave him in the game for quite a bit today, just like for the reasons Clayton mentioned earlier. But, how
do you feel about Malik Willis? How long would you play him today if it were you, if you were in control?
First quarter.
Just one quarter and call it?
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, because, again, there's no reason to play him a whole half. We've seen him in action last year. We know what he can do, right? Get him out there, though, and hopefully get, like, if Matthew Golden is playing, and I haven't heard whether he is or not, I'm going to keep hitting refresh here and try to find out. If you guys here in the chat, let us know. But, yeah, it's one of those things that if you're not playing the majority of the number twos, if you get into the threes pretty quick, there's no reason to have Malik Willis out there behind your third string offensive line and getting him crushed. And especially with Jordan, we're all hoping and believing that looks like week 1, he'll be ready to go. No problem, no restrictions. However, all it takes is one setback. If Malik Willis gets banged up in the preseason game, now we're talking about Sean Clifford going out week 1 again. We know lucky that. So.
Do you think too that, I mean, to me, this, we know what we have with Malik. I'm pretty confident with that. Is there any shot if Elgizma just comes out and rips apart the Colts that he catapults to that likely third quarterback there?
I think they want that to happen. I think the Packers want him to prove, okay, his talent is too good. We can't pass up on him. I don't see now. You guys, if you know in the chat, let us know. But I'm trying to remember, have we ever carried 2 practice squad quarterbacks? I don't know if we ever have. I'm sure we have at some point. I just don't know recently if we have. The reason I ask that is because I do think that if Elgersma doesn't make your practice squad, he's going to get swooped up like that. If you guys remember, when we signed him, he had an offer on the table from the Bengals as well to go to their training camp, and he chose the Packers over the Bengals. So that's why I'm kind of looking at that. I don't think anybody will swoop in and try to get Clifford. So if it's one of those you want to try to keep both of them or have both of them on call, you might want to go with, as Chris says here, Air Canada, right? Get him into on the practice squad, and then maybe let Sean Clifford kind of just hover out there, And that's where it goes back to, like people were talking, Jacob, why not go ahead and extend the practice squad? All it is extra money that the team has to pay out. I mean, I'm sure there's some teams that would stretch that thing out to 30 practice squad members,
I mean, it's got to be a drop in the bucket for the money they got, right? Because what's your average salary? Like $100K or something on the practice squad, which, don't get me wrong.
I looked it up one time. Yeah, it was something like that. I could be wrong, but again, there's what's the negative of having more practice squad spots? You know what I'm saying? I don't see one. So,
yeah, I agree.
Keep on going there, man. I'm going to hit refresh again.
Yeah, we had J. Cole says, I don't think our third quarterback is on this team yet. That's an interesting note. I mean, that is one segment that I don't think we've done, Clayton, is after the initial cuts, or as guys kind of filter through and out of teams, sometimes it's injuries, sometimes it's just they're so heavy at positional groups. That is something we haven't thought about. Certain guys that maybe we could sign late or possibly after the third preseason game. I wonder, I wish Bates was in here because I feel like he'd have answers for a lot of these questions, but I wonder how many times we've signed players after the last preseason game and what the precedent is for that. But that's a good point, J. Cole.
I want to say it's happened quite often. And I would love to be able to kind of dive into that realm, but there's just so many players out there. What I typically do is when the Packers sign someone, I go, don't get excited. Yeah, I'm talking to myself. Don't get excited, Clayton. Where do we have him on the draft board? Oh, wow. He was 130th. Yes, let's get excited. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the way I look at that. But yeah, I think that's a good point. If you've got a quarterback, let me give you an example. Let's go through the quarterbacks toward the bottom, right? Of the players, and I don't know if any of these are on the practice squad, but let's just kind of pick up at like Dylan Gabriel, he's on the Browns, Riley Leonard's on the team, Kyle McCord's on the team, Quinn Ewers on the team. Let's just assume, and these players may be on a roster, but let's pretend like they're not. Next on our list would be Cam Miller from North Dakota State, Curtis Rorick from Indiana, Tyler Huff, Max Brosmer, Garrett Green, Seth Morgan, and all of these guys are in order down our draft board, right? So you start to look at those, right? If cuts happen and players aren't on practice squads and you're not happy with where your quarterback room is, this is what Goody would do. This is what Matt LaFleur would do is, hey, let's get us a couple more bodies in here. And it might be something you get them in for a physical, run them through a couple drills on the practice squad, and then they're gone again, right? You just kind of getting in there and kicking the tires a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Taylor Elgersma was at the bottom of our quarterback list, but he did make the list because of the top 30 visit. But you got guys down there toward the bottom, and like I said, these guys may be on a roster. Remember Graham Mertz?
Yeah.
Graham Mertz was in Wisconsin, then he went to Florida. I wonder where he's at. Players like that are what's kind of.
I think that Brosman you mentioned, I think he's on the Vikings, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that right?
But I mean, that's interesting. That might be a great topic. Is after the third preseason week, try to look at any free agents that are on our draft board and where they fell. That'd be kind of fun.
Definitely. All right. Anything else you want to hit, Jacob, while I comb back through and see if anybody's updating anything here?
No, just Clint makes a nice compliment here. He says, you guys did a good job with the big board last year. That was mainly Emilio and Clayton. Me and Tim had our favorite guys, but Emilio was doing a lot of work with that board. It's really fun. I have mine. It's laminated. It's as big as the guys at the Kinko's or the whatever it was, the FedEx board. There, I had him reprint it 3 times, and he's like, "All right, man, we're going big this time." And he had to put it through the massive, huge laminator. And he finally asked, he says, "What is this, man? What is this?" And I'm like, "It's the NFL draft, like 400 whatever players." And he's like, "Wow, you guys are a bunch of nerds." And I'm like, "Yes, sir.
You damn right.
Proud of it.
Damn right." And you're ugly. How about that? Like this is how it's evolved, guys. Just so you know. This was the 2023 NFL draft board, right? See it? That's the 24s. Look how much bigger. You can say, that's probably a better way of doing it.
There you go. Yeah.
So, and that was all Emilio, man. That was Emilio going, Clayton, man. If you just hit F6, it'll put this here, right? And I'm like, all I know how to do is mow grass, throw a baseball, and try not to piss my wife off. Would you get off my back? How to do this? So. Luckily, we got us a young whippersnapper in to help with all the technological advancements. Go ahead, Jake.
Romero Hill, his question for all is our cornerbacks group maybe the questionable part of our defense. I know that when the camp started, offseason started, I would have said 100%. That definitely is true. I may still say that just because I'm so confident in the linebacker group now, in the safety group for sure, and the D-line group. I think that I'd either argue cornerbacks or linebackers only because if Quay or Coop, somebody like that were to go down, I would be a little more worried about the depth, although I said that before the emergence of Hopper and before the Isaiah Simmons signing. So I think they stacked that quite a bit, and I really do like what we've seen out of Christian Welch. Obviously, it's a long shot for him to make this team without injury, but I think it's a fair statement. I think I'd probably agree with that. What do you think, Clayton?
You look at the PFF grades, you go, oh yeah, we need help.
Right.
However, I could care less what the players grade out at. Like if at the end of the year you said, okay, Clayton, you got to choose. Would you rather have a team full of PFF grades that are just in the 80s and 90s, or would you rather be ranked towards the top of the league in EPA per dropback, in scoring defense, things like that? So I'm not as concerned about the DBs as most people are, that specifically the cornerbacks, for that very reason. We keep up with it all year long, and I keep my finger on the pulse. This was our coverage chart from last year across the league. Now, it's a little out of sync. Those top teams were the final four teams left in the playoffs, okay? Or, they were still a part of the playoffs, I guess you could say. So that's why it's a little out of whack. The low number wins here. So when you look at the EPA per dropback last year, the best team in the league was the Broncos at minus 0.04, okay? The Vikings were next at minus 0.03. And then you had four teams tied next best at minus 0.02. We were one of those four teams. What's that tell you? We were tied in the entire National Football League. We were tied for third best passing defense in terms of EPA per dropback, which you guys know is an advanced metric. I love EPA per dropback because it kind of removes a lot of the noise, and it's just, hey, here is how your team is performing essentially in EPA per dropback. You look at the PFF grades now. If you were to see that, Jacob, and you go, boy, Packers were tied for third best in pass defense at EPA per dropback, then you drop it down, look at the PFF grades, and go, what the hell happened? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now, people will say, well, it was Jair. No, it wasn't Jair. You guys remember, he missed a ton of time last year. And if you think he was good in man coverage, for all the people saying, let him follow the one, go watch him cover A.J. Brown in week 1 and get his absolute lunch ate. So, again, that's why I'm not as concerned about the cornerback room. You add Nate Hobbs, which you look at the PFF grade and go 61.4. Passer rating when targeted was in the 70s. So, Which one do you want to go off of? I would rather go off of, rather than just here's why I don't want to come across like I'm negative with PFF. We use it on a daily basis on the show. I think it's a very, very important tool. But why I am turned off by PFF is you see these numbers and there's not a play attached. There's not a, hey, here's the play where they got this grade. You just get grades and they're just like, trust me, bro. You know what I'm talking about on Twitter, Jacob? You got people on Twitter that's like, this is a fact. Okay, what's your source? Where did you hear that at? Trust me. Okay, I'll do that. Now, NFL Pro and passer rating when targeted, all those things, you can actually go in there and click on every single target on those players and determine, okay, like let me give you an example with Nate Hobbs. Passer rating when targeted was in the 70s. A good chunk of those were targets for him where the ball wasn't even in the vicinity where the receiver could make a play. Right. So that number looks a little inflated. But also the fact that those are the only significant targets you can come up with tells me his coverage was good enough that teams weren't really trying him a whole lot either. So that's obvious.
Yep. Our Aaron Rodgers with a super chat asked a very important question, which there's only one right answer to. He says, which time zone is the best for football? Pacific, Central, Eastern? I'm biased. Pacific is the best. 10 a.m. football and the primetime games end early. That's incorrect, Aaron. Central time zone, aka God's time. It fits. You start at noon, You start at 3 and you got your 7 o'clock kickoffs. I mean, that's just, come on. It's logical. It's right. It's the way it's supposed to be. What I do feel bad is anybody that doesn't live in the United States, because like those poor guys over in Australia or in England, they're having to wake up, or
they're committed, dude.
They are committed. Yes.
Way more committed than us lazy Americans.
I know what Clayton's going to say though. What's your preferred?
Let me ask you a question. When something nationally is announced, right? My Wisconsin people are going to hate me for this. And you guys know I announce everything on this show Central Time because the majority of our viewers, I try to make it as convenient as possible in that regard. But when something's announced nationally, what do they usually say?
Eastern time zone.
So Aaron Rodgers.
Because of them city slickers in New York.
Aaron has nothing to do with us rednecks in the Appalachian Trail. Aaron Rodgers says Pacific, Jacob says Central, and I'm saying Eastern. So I could care less. I just want football, But I understand what you're saying too there, Aaron. But I don't know how y'all do it on the West Coast too, man. There's sometimes it's like, man, that's of course, I don't know. I'm probably built for the West Coast because I'm an early morning guy. The fact that you have football kicking off at 10 a.m. Eastern, or I'm sorry, Pacific, heck yeah, that sounds good. Get the day going. So,
yeah. Well, So Turtles said that Silverstein tweeted, "Love's hand wrap is off." That is good news.
Let's see if we can pull that tweet up. Let's get some confirmation here because that is great news. And again, I heard people on the radio, mostly ESPN Milwaukee, there's several people reporting. It looks like on ESPN Milwaukee, I remember Chewy specifically was like, "There's no way it's just going to be a 1 week injury. There's no way." And I can kind of understand the sentiment there. Like, all right, how is he going to, have a cast on it and then recover that quickly? But obviously it was true. Here you go. Tom Silverstein says quarterback Jordan Love is throwing fade routes to receivers during warmups. He's being careful not to use his left hand. The wrap he had on his hand is off, and he's just got what looks like a thumb brace that wraps around his hand. And here is Dominic Yates actually put a tweet out. Jordan Love throwing routes during pregame. He has a thumb brace on the left hand. And this always cracks me up. I'm going to turn the sound up. You're not allowed to talk in the media booth, right? Where all the are. Listen how quiet. And we were told that on the Lambeau Field tour numerous times. They're like, it says quiet. Like it's silence when you enter there. You're not allowed to cheer. You're not allowed to say anything. I always think, man, could you imagine going back to the 50s and 60s when they're smoking stogies and just raising hell? That's when I would have worked.
Quiet down, everyone.
Yeah. Fuck it's golden, bird.
That's right.
So, yeah, Jordan, man, this is great news, right? Great news.
I absolutely think so. Where did I see? Yeah, Wolfpack here. This is a great question. How much do you play Bullard today? He asks.
And this is just my opinion. I don't have any inside information. I'm just going based off the reps, training camp, all that, all the reports. I think he's your number one nickel. He's your starting nickel, right? I don't think you'd play him at all if you're truly sitting the starters like Matt LaFleur said, right? I would rather see Kalen King in the slot, Like if we were to pull that up, let's pull up the depth chart real quick and we'll keep this going in the background. So cornerbacks, right? Nate Hobbs not playing because of the injury, obviously. Javon Bullard's your slot or your nickel back as it's listed here on Our Lads. Don't start him, right? Keyshawn Nixon, don't start him. So that makes your starting corners Carrington Valentine, Bo Melton, and Kalen King. I love the idea, Jacob, of getting at least a full half of those guys going out there and competing. See what you got with Kalen King in the slot. Make sure Carrington Valentine's picking up right where he left off last year and really, really get a good look at Bo Melton. I wouldn't mind to see Bo Melton for 3 quarters.
I agree. I absolutely agree with that. It's odd that they have Corey Ballantine or Ballantyne, however we pronounce that name now, as the third string nickelback. I wonder if he gets substantial playing time or if not, just because they know what they have in him kind of thing. But I also want to see Micah Robinson. I'm going to be watching him quite closely today. But like you said, man, it's hard not to get pretty jacked up if the lineup is Bo Melton, Carrington, and King for a good portion of the game. I would absolutely love to see that.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, that would be my answers. I would like to see the number 2 platoon of cornerbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Melton, if Bo Melton truly is the number 2, maybe he's not. Maybe they put Kalen King back on the outside. We're just kind of projecting him as a slot corner, but that might not even be the case. But yeah, I would like to see those guys go at it. But.
Yeah, Clint, armchair quarterback, had a good comment. This is when we were talking about whether the cornerback group was the weakest. He said more pressure on the quarterback means less pressure on the secondary, which in turn makes that defense hum a little better. And I happen to agree with that.
Listen, I think that's a great point. However, I'm not expecting that today. I mean, you guys want to know what I'm expecting? I'm expecting something similar to last week. Again, I'm not looking at the score. I'm not going and go, we better win this preseason. We got to create some momentum. No, I'm put your guys in a position to where you can learn something about the bottom half of this roster and make the proper choices when you're rounding out that 53. It's just too vanilla. It was, you can see it all over the tape, man. We wasn't doing double A gap mug and mid fires and things like that. It just wasn't happening. Don't show none of that. Get these guys out there. Again, it's two things really. It's one-on-one matchups and allowing them to compete in a specific situation, but also getting everybody into the routine, of a game day. That's why I think Matt LaFleur wanted the ones to dress and play a little bit last week. Next week, I think they're going to come back to the ones. Now, I don't know if Jordan will play. I doubt he will. But next week, you come back to the ones and keep them in that routine, right? And maybe get them a quarter or so is what I would expect. So Nick McSwain says, I'm expecting BTA. If you guys are new here and you're wondering what there you go. Jacob's in it. Jacob's got this, dude. Let's go, man.
Just doing my best. No Tim, no Emilio. I'm trying to keep this professional. Good luck.
Well, we suck at that. That's right.
Yeah. No, I mean, is there one thing that you're more excited that you're going to be watching for than anything else? I know you had that great list of the top 11 players, but is there one like scenario or outcome or group competition that you're trying to see? To me personally, I want to see what we saw in that practice was the absolute ball hawking, punching the balls out, ripping balls out. You know what I mean? And
that's the stuff you can work on in a preseason game, right? Every time you arrive to the ball, work on getting that thing out of there for sure. I know people want to see the pass rush amp up. This is the time to do that too with the 4-man rush, because again, many people still think we blitzed a lot last year, and that was not the case. We were like in the bottom 5 in blitz rate last year. We were rushing 4. We were just showing blitz and running fire zone blitzes all year long. With that being said, this is the time to let your guys pin their ears back. However, the one thing you can work on and not tip anything off, tip your hand in terms of the regular season, is allowing them to work against the run as well, Jacob. So when you get into that situation, which the Colts are a run-heavy offense, if you just pin your ears back and tell the pass rushers, hey, let's go get after the quarterback, then you're not working on staying gap sound. You're creating what we call bad habits and not being gap sound against the run when you go into the season. And that's the big thing that I think a lot of people didn't talk about enough last year was the reason the pass rush seemed like it was harnessed or it wasn't hitting us, because it was harnessed. It was all over the tape that, hey, we're stopping the run first and foremost. That's why we finished second in yards per carry allowed.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've seen a lot of people in the chat, or some people in the chat asking about if Brenton Cox is going to play, or do you consider him a starter? That's kind of tough because I think he is in the rotation. The way that we rotate those edges, you could argue. I think you could argue that he, probably not based on snap count last year, but in my opinion, Brenton Cox is a rotational first stringer. So as much as I'd like to see him, I don't know, man. I think I'd like to see him for maybe like 2 series.
Yeah, Brenton Cox Jr., I don't think you're going to learn anything about him in
Right.
preseason. It doesn't mean you don't get him out there, get him in the process. And you got to have enough edge rushers to play the game. If LVN and Gary aren't going to play, and I don't know if they are or aren't, if they don't play though, then yeah, I think Brenton Cox Jr. is going to have to play a significant amount of snaps. However, what I'm looking to see, of course, we played Enigbare last week, and both Brenton Cox Jr. and Enigbare had a great game. Enigbare looked like he was off the charts according to PFF. But for me, I would rather see Enigbare, Barron, Sorrell on the outside, right? Like if we pull up the depth chart here, since you brought up Brenton Cox Jr., I feel confident that Brenton Cox Jr. is our 3rd best pass rusher. That's me personally. Now the snaps would suggest Enigbare was better last year because the coaches trusted him more, right? But now we're 1 year deeper. for me, yeah, Brenton Cox Jr. and Igbari are showing as your backups. And then you got Barron Sorrell. It'd be Deslin Alexander and Aaron Mosby. We know what we got in those guys, too. I don't think anybody's expecting them to make a run at the 53-man roster. But you got to have enough bodies to rush the quarterback as well. I would not be surprised if Brenton Cox Jr. and Kingsley Enagbare playing a significant amount of snaps, because really after that, it's Barron Sorrell, Deslin Alexander, and Aaron Mosby. Although maybe Mosby's that guy that you're trying to determine now, hey, is he worth keeping on the practice squad or not? So maybe you'll see a heavy dose of Barron Sorrell and Aaron Mosby in the second half. And you keep those guys in uni like Brenton Cox Jr. and Enagbare in case you need to bring them back in because somebody gets banged up. But, yeah.
Yep. No, I agree. And honestly, I do want to see a little bit more from Deslin Alexander. I know Tim was a big fan of him. Tim's wife was a big fan of him, pointing him out in the practice that she was with Tim. So maybe he's a dark horse to kind of, shake some stuff up. Coach Len in the chat was asking, what channel is the game on? I'm pretty sure it's only if you got the NFL network or if you're in local area. Right?
Yeah, Coach, this is bad news here, bub. If you're in the local area, you'll get it on Packers.com and you'll get it on some of the local TV, I believe. If you're not in the local area, you've got to watch it on NFL Plus. Okay, so if you've got an NFL Plus subscription, which I'm going to tell you guys, best money I've ever spent. It's on. You go to NFL.com, you get all the preseason games. You get with NFL Plus, you get NFL Pro, you get all that stuff.
I think it's only $6.99 now, isn't it?
I don't know what it is now. I don't even check, to be honest with you. Whatever I paid for it before, I'm like, all right, we'll try this out. And then when I seen what all I got, I was like, holy. Ryan messaged me and was like, have you looked at this NFL Pro? I said, I've heard about it. I haven't checked it out. He's like, bro, it's unbelievable with the tape breakdown. So if you subscribe to that, then obviously you'll get the games live, all the preseason games. So that's the only way I know of watching it. Now, listen, there might be a bootleg somewhere. We're not going to promote that on this here channel. But if you comb around in the slums of the intraweb here, you'll probably find a link somewhere. So
yeah.
Jim H said, replay 1 a.m. NFL Network. Dang. I might be back from Redneck Brawl by then. I don't know. Somebody was asking in the chat what Redneck Brawl was. Redneck Brawl, just go to IG, go to Instagram, type in Redneck Brawl, make sure the volume's down, and enjoy the show. That's all I got to say. So, Big B, though, here we got an update. Jacob, you ready for this?
Sure.
Big B says 150 yards, 2 touchdowns incoming. He quote tweeted Rob Domofsky. Marshawn Lloyd is in uniform, and it appears he will make his preseason debut today versus the Colts. So we will get a good, healthy dose of Marshawn Lloyd. So let's check it out here. Running backs, right? Josh Jacobs probably not going to play. Emmanuel Wilson, I imagine, would be in uniform. Marshawn Lloyd, you'll probably see Chris Brooks, Amar Johnson, and Izzy. So you may even see the new running back there, Tyrion Davis-Price. But for me, I want to see some Marshawn Lloyd and some Amar Johnson. Get Emmanuel Wilson off the field as quick as possible and let those 2 backs eat. Really 3 backs when you think about it. Give me Marshawn Lloyd, give me Amar Johnson, and Izzy Abanikanda. That's how I would approach that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's what I would do. As much as you left Amar Johnson out intentionally, right? Just you don't want to have more tape on him. Is that kind of what we're?
Yeah, I mean that's the guy that, based off what I've seen so far, he's my number 4 back. So maybe try not to give him as many reps. Marshawn Lloyd's going to be protected on the 53, and like everybody said in the chat, you want to get him out there and get him a couple licks. You know what I mean? Let him take a couple shots in the ribs, one in the thigh, get used to that NFL contact. But yeah, I would rather you not go out there and showcase Amar Johnson with 20 carries and him go off for $115, and then all of a sudden the Vikings swoop in and sign him if you try to stash him on the practice squad. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, let's do another quick little refresh here. We're closing in. What time's the game? It comes on at 12:05. Am I thinking right, guys?
I believe so. Yep.
So we're just about 20 minutes from.
All right, I got the butterflies, Clayton.
They just arrived.
They are percolating.
Let's see here. Okay, yeah. So Matt Schneiden just had an update here. Let me put this on the screen. Okay, yeah, here we go. This is good news. Zach Cruz says Packers coach Matt LaFleur told Wayne Larrabee that his team got through Thursday's joint practice without a new injury, so that's great. They stayed healthy there. Matt Schneidman, as expected, and as Ashley J. Washburn just said on the broadcast, Packers starters won't play today versus the Colts. So it sounds like none of the number ones are going to play. Notice they didn't say offense or defense, so I'm assuming they mean both sides of the ball. So that's good news, man. Let the 2s and 3s have at it today for sure.
Let's go. Oof. I'm getting stoked now.
I'll see what the Packers have tweeted out lately. They got anything good? No, just the Irishman. They got him out there, number 41, warming up. So he's that's McNamee, right? That's how you would say it, McNamee. So he'll probably be your kicker today. I'm excited to see what he can do, man. Because again, that's the guy that the international player program where you can just he doesn't count toward the practice squad, just stored him away. And he had a hell of a joint practice the other day. Both him and McManus, they went 100% in field goals.
I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, that's I don't know what's in the water right now in Green Bay, but the kickers are kicking good.
Yeah. We got a bunch of people in here. If you guys would, please do us a favor. Hit that like, hit subscribe for us. Make sure you click that bell icon so you're notified every time we go live. And if you're available this afternoon, whether you're out there mowing the lawn after the game or whatever, we'll be going live for a post-game show immediately following the game. We may go live with 2 or 3 minutes left in the ball game, but we'll be in here talking about everything that happened and giving you guys a full breakdown. So AFAM says, is Emilio out mowing? So Emilio he's got to make about a 2-hour drive to where I'm at. So he was going to try to get on the pregame show before he left, but he's going to be on the road during the game. So he may make an appearance in the postgame show if he gets here quick enough. But yeah, he's heading up here so we can go out to the brawl tonight. So that's the plan. And again, the Redneck Brawl, guys, it's just a fight. That's all it is. It's a fight card. There's a bunch of people. I mean, they got a bunch of fights lined up. This thing might go to 2 a.m., but it's just a bunch of local Appalachian Trail rednecks that they say, hey, you want to fight each other? Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's go. And some of these guys, man, they look like they ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. And I'm talking about, Jacob, they are 115 pounds soaking wet with a sand rock in their back pocket, man. It's bad. It's real bad. But should be a good time. We should it's literally one of those things where they throw hands for 45 seconds and then they're ready to light up a cigarette in the ring. Absolutely hilarious, man. So J. Cole says bum fights. They're not bums. All right. They're not bums. I do remember the bum fights. And they are getting paid pretty decently. Like we paid, I think it was $50 a ticket, right? So they're getting
you paid $50 a ticket.
Jacob, I couldn't live with myself if I didn't pay $50 a ticket to watch a bunch of rednecks fight each other, man.
Oh boy.
I haven't been to a family reunion forever. I got to get my fix. You know got to do it. So all right. Anyway, anything else we want to hit on, man? As we're coming down the stretch, I guess it's about time to wrap this big bear up.
Yeah, I think I think that's about it for me.
All right. Just taking one last glance here on Twitter. Today's scratches. You got to go to the Packers. You got to go to the Packers site. Look, I seen this. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Here's today's scratches. Look at the first comment. What the hell? What's he been doing here? So is Matthew Golden must be playing. I'll get in trouble if I click on the link, I believe. Sometimes when you go to the websites, that's frowned upon. But I was trying to see. Here we go. Rob Domofsky got us covered. Packers list 29 guys who won't play today in Indy. All right, here they are. Quay Walker, Josh Jacobs, Christian Watson, Jordan Love, Jaden Reed, Dontavion Wicks, Javon Bullard, Nate Hobbs, Carrington Valentine, Keyshawn Nixon, Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams, Zane Anderson's not playing, still hurt. Obviously, Colin Oliver's still banged up. He will not play. Zach Tom, Rashawn Gary, Edrin Cooper, Isaiah McDuffie, Rasheed Walker, Aaron Banks, John Williams, Elton Jenkins, Savion. Darn it. So Savion's definitely not playing. No surprise there, but I was kind of holding out hope. Tucker Kraft, Romeo Dobbs, Luke Musgrave, Lucas Van Ness, Devontae White, Kenny Clark. Nothing there catches me by surprise. You, Jacob?
Maybe Carrington a little bit, but that'd be probably the only one.
Was Carrington on that list? Did I miss it? Yeah, you're right. Interesting. So they kind of see him as a borderline starter, don't they?
Yes, sir. I kind of thought that as well, but yeah, whatever. That just means we get to see Bo a little longer, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do one more refresh here. Here we go. This is good news. Bill Huber, but he's on the inactive list, so who knows? Okay, so Bill Huber tweeted out a minute ago, Rasheed Walker will start at left tackle and Jordan Morgan will start at left guard, LaFleur said on the pregame show. And then Bill Huber quote tweeted himself 32 seconds ago and said, but he's on the inactives list, so who knows? So everybody's in preseason form. So we may see, if LaFleur said that, I imagine it's true, right? So Rasheed Walker, left tackle, Jordan Morgan, left guard today. So, and now I'm sure that when they pull Sheed, Jordan Morgan will probably kick over to left tackle, I would imagine. So,
yeah.
All right. That's it, guys. We're going to get out of here. We will be live. I'm going to create the stream right now as soon as we get off here. So you guys, if you want to hop into our YouTube, the link for the post-game show, it'll be up here in about 10 minutes. You can go in there and just chat in there. It's a running chat even when the stream's not live, so y'all can kind of talk about the game as you go. I'm in there, just so full disclosure, I don't comment much because I'm charting the game, but I'm in there with the comments. I might comment every now and then, but I'm kind of hanging out with the chat in there. It's more or less a live game chat for PTA. So, and then that's the same link we use. We hit live as soon as we get into the post-game show. So, Jake, appreciate your time. Will you be here for the post-game?
I will indeed.
All right, man. We'll see you then. Everybody, thank y'all so much for making us a part of your morning. This is a blast. It's always such a joy, such a blessing getting in here talking ball with y'all. And really, really appreciate your all's time making us a part of it. So we'll see y'all on the post-game show chat. Talk to y'all soon. Bye. Wave at him, Jacob. Give him the Forrest Gump wave.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.